What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Inspiration series. We're starting things off today with the ISL Kogia? AC 521 Shuttle. Now, this is actually a fairly small ship. Oop, wrong keys. Fairly small ship. It was a viewer submission, and one of the biggest reasons I picked it was the color scheme and overall aesthetics. I didn't really see any particular design things that just stood out to me, but I really just liked the color scheme and stuff like that, and so we're going to take a better look at it. It is designed as a kind of like a tugboat, if you will, but more of like a cargo transport shuttle. Also, the description did say we can remove this merge block. Hello? That was weird. I don't know what else I deleted. Whoops. But that is there for printing the ship, and then you're supposed to remove that afterwards anyway, so we're going to go ahead and do that. But yeah, it's designed as a small cargo transport vessel before you get to ion thrusters and things like that to make interplanetary, or not interplanetary, but atmospheric transition type runs kind of thing. I do actually like the aesthetic design though, overall. I like it's kind of almost that same type of design as we've seen in a lot of ships, just smaller, where you've got kind of the front fuselage nose kind of thing, and then it kind of V's out towards the back where you've got kind of the nacelle type design. So that's kind of cool. I like the idea of kind of like the same thing you use on like capital ships and stuff, but then it's done in a small ship kind of style. I think that's kind of neat. A couple other things. It is designed with, I don't actually see them, but there are parachutes on here for emergency landing should you ever run out of hydrogen or something to that effect. I don't actually see where they are though. I can't actually see the hatches. That's the hydrogen engine. That's the remote block. Yeah, I'm not actually sure where they've hidden the parachutes. That's kind of cool, actually. I'm almost curious about this now. Like, I kind of want to figure out where they are, because that's interesting to me. Is that doesn't look like a parachute, but no, that's the back of the thruster. I'm definitely at a loss. My only guess is it might be the... no, not there either. I don't know. I do not know where they are. I'm probably looking right at them, because that tends to happen a lot. It's hard for me to convey it, but it is a little bit different when you're trying to make a video and talk about different aspects of ships and things like that, to actually visibly notice everything with your eyeballs. I know that kind of sounds weird, but it's for any of you that ever have tried to make your own YouTube video, you probably know what I'm talking about. So I swear I notice things, but I just don't tend to notice them on camera. So there is a very minimal interior here. Again, this was not designed as like some big, large, long expedition vessel or anything like that. So, but I mean, it's convenient that it has a bathroom, because you never know. You never know how long those transportation trips are gonna go. Alright, so let's get out of the sun here for a second. I actually pasted this in wrong. It was upside down, which is why we had the sun in our eyes. Also, I think it was on my last inspiration episode, somebody commented explaining that the new pop-up screen display thing here that gives us a readout of all the different controls is from Build Vision, that it had an update. Actually, it says Build Info Mod there, right? I should have picked up on that before, that it says Build Info. So Build Info, Build Vision, one of those. It was one of those mods that added this feature. So if you're looking at it going, my game doesn't have that, that's what that's from. And I highly recommend both of them. Like if you're any way interested in building and making things easier on yourself, Build Info, Build Vision, both of them make things super convenient. Because like this, you get a nice little readout. So we've got thrusters controls for atmospheric on off. That's interesting. It's not actually a toggle. Curious. Oh, the numbers of things, like the 10 thrusters and things, maybe that was Build Vision. I'm not sure. Anyway, I would play it safe and just have both of them, and then you're probably fine. Hydrogen engines, or thrusters. I have to stop saying engines because they're actually are hydrogen engine now. Braking. Interesting. So that's 5. So that's atmospheric thrusters. So that's got to be added thrusters for when you're entering atmosphere, I'm guessing. Front connector, landing gears, lights. Okay. We're missing one. I'm assuming that's a group that the name got changed or something. We've got batteries on and off. Underside camera view, turrets. Port and starboard. I couldn't understand what those acronym things were. Ore detectors, antennas. Okay, and it does run PAM or SAM, apparently, according to the description, but I don't even know what that is. So we've got those controls there. Landing gears for auto lock. That's something you need for your emergency landing, I believe, is to toggle the auto lock. Hydrogen engines, hydrogen tank stockpiling, and generators. I'm guessing, I think this one also ran the autopilot script, so I'm guessing all the taxiing speeds and things were for autoscript, or for autopilot, would be my guess. Absent control, gonna say that's autopilot, not sure. Doors, gravity generator, parachute hatches. We might just open those just to see where they are. Projector, and then probably clear. Okay, so we don't really have a lot of controls or anything to mess with all that much. In terms of movement, I don't know about fuel efficiency. This, being in creative, it's just going to be at 100 as far as I understand it, but speed-wise, this thing gets up and goes. Now granted, this being a cargo vessel is unladen. Unladen? I think I'm using that right. So I don't know if it would accelerate slower if it actually had a full cargo thing. Also, I'm saying cargo because I think that's what the description mentioned, but I'm not seeing a lot of cargo containers, so I might be wrong. It may just be a shuttle. I think it's actually labeled as a shuttle, and since I don't see a lot of crates on it, I'm going to say that it's supposed to be a shuttle that can possibly make trips like that, or can bring cargo with it via the landing gear or something to that effect, but I'm not seeing enough cargo containers on here for me to think that it's actually a cargo shuttle. Anyway, flies very nicely, especially without any weight in it. This is definitely fighter maneuverability right here. I mean, it just... Oh, this is fun to fly. Like, this is just fun to fly. Not even gonna lie, it's fun to fly. That should be a rating score. It's like, I'm not even gonna lie, this one's fun to fly. Alright, so with that one, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so next we have the ECA Viper Class Heavy Corvette. Now this is a relatively interesting build to me. Mainly because this is a viewer submission, just like the last one. However, this one was done by a builder that has only had the game for about 6 months, and this is their first published build. Now, in my opinion, that makes this pretty cool. Why? Because I know what my first builds looked like, and it wasn't this cool. So, I wanted to point that out right off the bat, because I think it makes this a little bit more of an interesting build than it may get credit for if you just glanced off and compared it to all the other ones. I think it's really neat that I'm getting viewers from, or submissions from people that, you know, have just started the game and stuff like that's really cool. Plus, it's actually pretty cool. I have to admit, the screenshot where it was kind of like this, I immediately thought of the Helios station. I think it's Helios. From Hyperion in Borderlands. I was like, where have I seen that shape before? And I just kind of stared at it like this for a minute, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's the thing with the big laser in it. That works. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, overall, I like the design a lot. It's different. It's interesting. It's not kind of the same things you see a lot of. I'm not sure how I feel about this big bump here. But that's just me. I'm a little more streamlined type of thing. Like, I like things to be kind of curved and smoothed out kind of thing. I don't like anything that looks like it's sticking out unless it's supposed to. Although I have a suspicion that a lot of this is probably due to internal guts necessity kind of thing, because I've run into that before in my builds as well, where you're building something but you just can't seem to make the plumbing work anymore compactly, and it just has to be that way. I'm also very curious about this bridge, because from what I can see it looks really cool. So yeah, overall I like it, although it is named Viper, so I'm trying to figure out if there's any kind of snake reference kind of thing. Like, is this supposed to be fangs or something? I don't know. I'm probably just making stuff up at this point. Also, for a builder that's relatively new to the scene, very, very obvious doors. A+ in my book. Any build with obvious doors, it's welcomed. For those door challenged people like me. Alright, so we've got, what is this? Oh, hold on. Oh, there's not on this side. Okay, I was thinking there was doors all the way around this central area, and I was gonna say, this, it wins for doors. Like, good job on doors. And it sucks, honestly, because there's a lot of times where I really think it'd be cool to have hidden doors. Like, it's kind of neat. Like, if any of you guys have watched any of my Minecraft stuff, you know I love hidden compartments, hidden rooms, hidden doors. Not necessarily because it needs to be hidden. I just think it's fun to make it work. Like, just because I can, kind of thing. But conversely, it seems like when I'm looking at other people's builds, if anything is halfway hidden or obscured, I seem to just walk right past it. I'm going to attribute that again to it's harder to notice things on videos than when you're just playing, but I digress. Anyways, another thing I wanted to point out about this is lighting. A lot of builds are super moody, like as in moody as a nice way of saying dark, where you run around, unless you're walking around with your headlamps on, you just run into everything. This one is not. There's a couple of spots, like maybe in here's a good example. Oh, okay, bathroom. I was gonna say, what goes this way? So maybe in here's a good example. I feel like right here, in this spot is a good one, is that it's a little bit bright. So probably in future builds, I would recommend maybe toning down the lights just a hair in some areas. However, there's other areas where I was actually really glad it was well lit, as opposed to some places or some builds that are just super, super dark. What is that? What in the world was that? There's no vent there, there's no vent there, or there, or there. What was those little black particles? Sometimes, man, sometimes Space Engineers just confuses me. Wow, we went from... Sorry, I just got done talking about the lighting, and then it went totally dark. I think that's just funny. Not ragging on anything. It's just funny to me, the irony of having just commented on how, wow, it's way too bright. Yeah. And like I said, this is a new builder. Relatively, anyway. I mean, you know, as far as having the game for 6 months, I'm sure there's been some test builds and things, but this is the first published build, which takes some guts because, let's be honest, it's the internet, and the internet is not always the kindest place in the world, unfortunately. But, so, nothing that I say on this build or anything like that should be taken with any intentional offense or anything to that degree. Just my thoughts, ramblings, and musings in the hope that maybe something useful can be gleaned from them, which is pretty much how I operate all of my video content, is I'm just derping around, hoping that somebody gets some use out of it, apparently, basically. I really like this. I mean, for those of you that are like avid viewers of mine, I'm sure it comes as a shock. I'm really sure that none of you expected me to like this bridge because there's just too much glass, you know. So I know it's shocking, but you know, we all have our moments. Yeah, I really think this is cool. For two reasons. One, I like the use of the multi-shape here, where it's like you've got kind of the glass canopy to make the outside shape of the bridge, but then for function, you've just got the transparent LCDs here so that you can actually read it. You're not trying to read it off like an angle block or something like that. Not that we have angled LCDs, I'm just saying. Rather than making a square... That's what I should have said. Rather than making a square, flat bridge, you've actually got the shape plus the functionality. So that's cool. Kudos there. Also, wood texture. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So far, I'm trying to do the list in my head, and I'm kind of doing a tally, but so far, I would say the only thing that we have missing here is spinning things. That's about it. We've got glass, we've got wood, we've got easy to find doors. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's all that's missing if you were trying to catch my attention. Alright, so I keep forgetting I don't have to do that. We got rocket launchers, always fun. Blast doors. I just realized... What did I say? Oh, we didn't do the parachutes. I was just looking at this panel going, what did I say I was going to do on the last build? And I forgot to look. It was the parachutes. We didn't test that out. Alright, so we've got the blast doors, which are behind us. The camera views. Okay. Which are useful. I have to remind myself... At some point I should actually do, like, a RP build or RP playthrough where, like, I can't use third-person view and fly around like this or something, and see how terrible I do at it, because that sounds awful for me. We've got landing gears, merge blocks, connectors, large turrets, interior turrets, batteries, backup reactors, turret, auto repair. That must be the projectors that, or not the projectors, the welders that I saw next to some of the turrets. And we've got a projector block. I don't know what the projector block is for. Unless there's... Is there a projector on this table here? No. Alright. Not sure what the projector's for. But we'll move on. So again, not a whole lot of... I've found that unless people are using custom-made weapons or mods or things, there's not a whole lot to mess with on the control bar, really. I will say this. This is classified as a Corvette. But acceleration and turning, this thing is dangerous. Like, to be able to pull those kinds of maneuvers in a Corvette classified ship, that's scary to me. Like, that would literally not be something I would want chasing me. Yeah. I'd say that falls under the label of not gonna lie, it's fun to fly. I think that works. I think that works. So, yeah, I think that's all that there really is for me to look at on this particular one, so we're going to wrap this one up here and move on to the last one. Okay, so last but not least, we have the solar power plant. Now, this one I picked for one reason, and one reason only, and then I found out there's another reason that I should have picked it for, and we'll talk about both of them. One, the reason I picked it, this shape. Because circles are my nemesis in Space Engineers. Sorry, I hit the wrong button again. The circles, curves, and stuff like that, I just hate me in Space Engineers. I cannot get it to work half the time. So when I saw this really cool, curved, circular shape of solar panels, I was like, wait, what? Also, though, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if I have this upside down or not. I think I do. Let's look at it this way, because I'm pretty sure that's the way it's supposed to go. So we'll come at it from this view so that I don't put the sun in your eyes. Yeah, that looks right. So, one of the other things that I realized was, once again, much like the landing pod from the last episode, I saw in the thumbnail 2 different ships. And I thought, there was a docking ship that went to this one. Turns out, this thing unfolds, and that was the second ship. I need to start paying more attention to that, because that's the second time I've picked a ship or a blueprint thinking there was 2 ships in it, and there wasn't, and it transforms. So I need to start paying more attention to that, apparently. But yeah, so I really like this design. I really think this is cool, and I would love at some point to kind of break down all the different little angle settings for these hinges and stuff to see if see how this is actually put together. The core part of the ship doesn't look all that complicated. It looks small grid, I'm thinking. Small grid. Connectors on a couple different places, although one interesting thing is those aren't connected to anything. They're just connectors, so that's kind of interesting. Oh, never mind, I'm dumb. So the whole point of this ship was to basically be a giant battery that could dock with another ship and recharge it. So these connectors don't have to be hooked up to a conveyor system because all they're doing is transferring power. And if I thought about it for more than half a second, I'd have figured that out. Again, if I do stupid things, just refer back to I'm recording and probably not paying attention. I swear I'm halfway intelligent when I'm off camera. Kind of like, what's the character from Mystery Men that can turn invisible when no one's looking? That's like me. Anyway, alright, so fairly simple. We have 2 different reverse commands. We're going to look at each one individually because I'm not entirely sure that they do the same thing. Because one's set to 94%, one's set to 100, so I'm thinking they're 2 different rotation methods. So, let's go ahead. Actually, first, let's see if we can... Wait, can I turn? Okay, so it is not the fastest on the gyroscope controls in terms of rotating. Oddly enough, it's fairly responsive with left and right, like mouse movement, but the Q and E movements of rotating seem pretty chuggy, which is interesting, because I would have thought that gyroscopes control both. But anyway, I digress. So let's start with one. Oh, look at it! It's so pretty. Okay, so the first slot is that curved shape, and I'm guessing the second slot is going to extend it. Look at it! Look at that! It's so beautiful! I love moving mechanical thingies. It's so great. And then I guess if you wanted to curve it, you could hit the 1 key again and make it kind of a TIE fighter shape, which did not come to mind at all when I saw this build. Once. I never once thought that would be a cool way to make, like, Vader's TIE Fighter shape or anything. It never once came to mind. I don't know what you're talking about, and you can't prove it. Anyway, moving right along. So again, we don't really need to test out the movement, per se. I mean, we kind of did, but that's not also... Wait, why is it still going? Slow down. Okay, so for some reason... the gyroscope response is a little weird when it's in this state. It, like, drifts. Really odd. Not sure why it would do that. But this is so cool. Look at it. I like the... I just... Like, when things work right in Space Engineers, it's just very cool. It's hard to get them to work right. It's really difficult because the game doesn't make it easy half the time. But when they work, it's just so pretty. It's so cool. I love that. That's so awesome. Now, if we put a lot of gyroscopes on this, we could make a spinning solar plant. Anyway, but with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this episode. I am going to start putting a poll in the description of both the Inspiration episodes and the Reverse Engineers episodes as to what you guys want to see next. As I've said before, bear in mind that you're voting on the following week's episode. So when you vote on the poll for this episode, you will probably see the results of that poll in next week's, not this week's. And that may seem weird. I hope I've explained it enough that it makes sense to everybody. If not, I apologize, but it has to do with when I record them, because I will probably be recording the reverse engineers like tomorrow after this, or actually the day this episode goes up, or the day after. So there's not enough time to really get a poll information off of that. So, at least not that I know of. If I start seeing that there's a lot of polls, like if it starts being really super responsive and we're getting a lot of feedback really quickly, then maybe I'll look into doing it that way, that just whatever you vote on is the next thing. Not sure. I'll play it by ear, but for now, just know that if you're voting on stuff, it'll probably show up in the following episodes. And I'll label the episode numbers so that you guys know what you're voting on and whatever. But anyways, so yeah, be sure to leave a vote if you have anything particular in this episode, and I'm going to leave an option if you have something else that wasn't featured in this episode and you wanted it to be reverse engineered. But with that, we're going to wrap things up here for today. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, click the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell, and, you know, any other buttons you feel like pushing, because there's a lot of them. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.